Hi, it's Barney from BBC Good Food, and today is our ingredient challenge. The ingredient I've been challenged to use is tinned chickpeas, and I'm going to be making a one-pan, kind of add what you want, curry, and I'm going to be using up some leftovers from my fridge as well. Trying to use up as many ingredients as we can that we've got hanging around. I've got 1/4 of a red onion, but you can just use a normal onion. I've got some coriander, which looks dead, but we're going to use the stalks, and we're going to use those at the end. I've got a tin of chickpeas, a tin of tomatoes. I found some mango chutney lurking in the back of my cupboard. I've got some vinegar. I've got a cauliflower. I'm going to use the leaves as well. I've got some ginger. I've got some garlic, and I'm going to use some spices from my spice drawer. So onion's going to be at the base of our curry. I'm using 1/4 of a red onion because that's what we had in our fridge. But if I was starting this from scratch, I would use just one small onion, and we're just going to chop that up reasonably fine. We're going to use all of it. Then we're going to get some heat into our pan. I want to be quite generous with you all. We want to cook the onions properly. And then once that's heated up, we're going to add our onion. Now our onion started sizzling, I'm going to add some ginger and some garlic. I'm not going to bother peeling them, I'm going to grate them straight in, which is a great trick if you haven't got time and you're making a really quick curry. So in with the ginger. A fine grater. If you haven't got a grater, you can just finely chop them. And then the same with the garlic. If you grate garlic with the skin on, the skin ends up coming off and only the garlic goes through the grater. So again, like so. And there's our garlic puree. And we're just going to add that straight into our onions. And remember, we're trying to get a lovely bit of colour on the onions. Now once that's sizzling away, I'm going to add some bits of cauliflower, and then I'm going to add my spices, and everything's going to cook together for about 5 to 10 minutes, get lots of lovely colour, and by heating up the spices you really wake up their flavour. Cauliflower leaves are absolutely delicious, do not throw them away. They can be used as well as the florets. I'm just going to chop them up fine and throw them in with the onion. So we're using the leaves and we're not wasting anything at all. So cauliflower leaves are going in with the onions. And then I'm just going to cut the main cauliflower into smaller pieces to stretch it out, and then break them up and put them in with the onion as well. So I can see the onions are starting to caramelise, but since I've thrown the cauliflower in, the pan's got a bit dry. So I'm just going to add a little bit more oil. And now, amazing, the most exciting part, the spice drawer. We're going to go with, what we're going to go with for this, I'm going to go with some coriander powder. We're going to go with some cumin seeds. We're going to go with some turmeric. And what else? Some cayenne or chili powder, and I think that should be us. And then we're going to finish it. When we finish it, we're going to finish it with some garam masala. But so in with our spices, and we're just going to toast our spices off with everything else. So cumin seeds, about a tablespoon. Then I want about a teaspoon of coriander powder. Now you don't want to use whole coriander seeds because they're not very nice to eat. Cumin seeds are absolutely fine to use. Whole coriander seeds you only want ground. Then I've got some turmeric, which is going to give us some really lovely colour. Again, I want to go in with about a teaspoon. And then maybe a drop more oil. And then we're going to cook that together, and we're going to leave that for about another 2 minutes. Can you see that our vegetables have had about another 2 minutes? The cauliflower's gone all yellow and everything's starting to caramelise and go beautiful. Now, because we're using tinned tomatoes in this, I always like to add a bit of sweet and sour to really elevate the flavour of the tomatoes. And to do that, to stick with the sort of curry theme, I found some mango chutney in the back of my fridge. I'm going to use a teaspoon of that, so that's going to go in with our vegetables, and I'm just going to stir that through. Stir that through. And then to counteract the sweetness, add a splash of vinegar. I've just got normal malt vinegar here, so literally a teaspoon of that. Then we're going to turn up the heat for about 30 seconds and let the sweet and sour really elevate the flavour. Now, the last bit of our curry, before we leave it simmer for 15 minutes, is the chickpeas and the tomatoes. Now, I've drained the chickpeas, but I haven't rinsed them, so they're going to go in straight from the tin. I'm going to stir those through. And then a tin of tomatoes. We've got a tin of chopped tomatoes here. That's going to go straight in as well. And then, and this is a really good one for these times, do not use a tin of tomatoes without rinsing everything out. So I'm going to want about 100 ml of water. So I'm just going to add 100 ml of water to the can, give it a good rinse, and then in that goes as well. Stir everything through. That needs nothing more than a generous pinch of salt. And a good grind of pepper. And then I'm going to bring that up to a simmer, and I'm going to leave it simmering uncovered so the tomatoes thicken and we get a lovely thick sauce for about 15 minutes. I'm going to see you, Mr. Curry, in about 15 minutes. So our curry's about halfway through, the tomatoes getting lovely and thick, and what I'm going to do is, now the chickpeas have softened a bit, is I'm just going to crush a few of them with my spoon against the side of the pan to give the sauce a bit more structure and texture. So you don't want to do many, just maybe like a couple of tablespoons of the chickpeas, and we're just going to roughly crush them against the side of the pan, and that's going to help thicken the sauce a bit. So once we've done that, we just stir the crushed chickpeas through, and then in about 5 minutes, that is going to be perfect. Our curry has had its 15 minutes, it's lovely and thick, and then now I'm just going to finish it. Now, to finish the curry, I've got some coriander, which looks like it's certainly past its best. It looks dead, but there's still loads of flavour in the stalks. So rather than using the dead leaves, I'm just going to finely chop the stalk. I'm just going to add those to the curry. Lots of lovely fresh coriander flavour. Add those with about a teaspoon of garam masala. I like to use garam masala as a seasoning at the end rather than as a curry powder at the beginning. So I'm going to finish that with a teaspoon of garam masala, and then that is our 1 pan cauliflower curry. Done. So that's our easy chickpea and cauliflower curry done. What can I say about it to make you make it? Well, it's one pan, it's adaptable, it's vegan, but even though it's vegan, you could easily add chicken or prawns or fish to it. It would keep well in the fridge. I mean, the flavours would even get better after a day or two. You can freeze it, you can serve it with rice, or you can serve it with a naan bread. You can add whichever vegetables you have in your fridge knocking around. Some aubergine would be delicious in that. You can chop up a potato and put potato through it at the beginning. What else could we put with that? Some courgettes would be really nice in there. Some squash would be lovely in there. It really is super adaptable, super easy. So thank you very much. Don't forget, bbcgoodfood.com, the only food website you need. If you have any questions for us at all, hashtag AskBBCGoodFood on all our social media channels.